Here we were asked to find the value of P. As the diagram shows a circle with centre O, we should know the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. We're told AB is a tangent to the circle at point A. As it's a tangent to the circle, we know that a radius meets a tangent at 90 degrees. I now need to calculate my radius, in this case the length of OA. As I'm told point B has coordinates 16, 0. Therefore this is 16 on the x-axis. Therefore the length of O to B, therefore, is 16. As it's a right angle triangle, I only have one side at an angle. I can apply trigonometry, i.e. SOHCAHTOA. We now label our three sides H, O and A. H is called the hypotenuse, the longest side, and that's always directly opposite the right angle. So find the right angle, draw an opposite, and that's H. In this case, H is 16. We then label O. O is opposite the angle we're given or finding. As I'm given the angle of 30 degrees, therefore directly opposite is O. And finally, A is adjacent to our angle. As I want to find O, as that's my radius of my circle, and I'm given H, only one formula will link O and H, which in this case is sine. When using our formula triangle, we always cover up the one we want. As I want to find the length of O, therefore I put my finger over O, cover up O, and whatever I'm left is my formula. So S is the function, so it's going to be sine of the angle, in this case sine of 30. We should know that a vertical line in a formula triangle means to multiply. Hence it's now multiplied by H, in this case H is 16. We should know that sine of 30 is an exact value, which is a half, and a half multiplied by 16 will give us 8. So therefore now my radius of my circle is 8. Now I know the radius of the circle is 8. I know the equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Hence it's going to be x squared plus y squared. As r is now 8, we're going to have 8 squared on the right, which will give us 64. As the point P lies in our circle, therefore it must satisfy this equation. We know a coordinate is always x, y. Every time we see x, we're now going to substitute 3p. So having x squared is now going to be 3p in brackets all squared, plus every time I see y, I know y is now p. So therefore y squared is simply going to be plus p squared. And the right is still equals to 64. We know 3p in brackets squared. That will give us 9p squared. I've still got plus p squared. And the right is still equals to 64. Simplifying the left-hand side, i.e. collecting like terms, I've got 9p squared add p squared. That will simplify to give us 10p squared. And the right-hand side, it still equals to 64. As I want to find the value of p, I know the opposite of times by 10 is to divide both sides of my equation by 10. I know 10 over 10 will cancel to leave us with p squared on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, 64 divided by 10 gives us 6.4. As I want the value of p, I know the opposite of squared is the square root. And the square root of 6.4 gives us 2.52. As I want my answer correct to one decimal place. Well, one decimal place means I only want one digit after decimal. So if I'm the first digit after decimal, I then stop. Draw a line to the right. That's called my decider. If my decider is 5 or more, I round the previous digit up by 1. As it's not, in this case, I round down. So doink. So then my final answer, P, equals 2.5.